to the Gun Guru channel. So in this episode, I guess that's what we would call it, I wanted to take a look at something that really affects mainly the people in Connecticut. It doesn't really affect anyone this way outside of Connecticut. Now, it does affect everybody, obviously. But I wanted to talk about the factoring criteria for the firearms with attached stabilizing braces, which came out mid-January of this year. It is the final rule for 2021 R-08F. This goes into people that purchased AR pistols with a stabilizing brace that are now magically, due to changing of definitions, a SBR. Alright, so everybody understands this. And the ATF put forth what to do, as in do your Form 2s, make them SBRs, and all that stuff. Now, a lot of people are just waiting the clock out because we do have a very narrow window to do this. A lot of people are just hoping the courts will intervene, it'll all go away, maybe Congress will intervene. I wouldn't get your hopes up, because we're about halfway through it now and nothing has happened. I haven't heard squat from it. Now, getting to the main part about Connecticut. So, as you may know, we have Connecticut others, alright? So it is not a pistol, it is not a rifle, it is non-NFA, it is in the category of other. Technically, it's called a pistol grip firearm. There's a lot of people out there that are talking about it, so I'm not going to go super in-depth. I'm just going to give basically an update to the Connecticut others and what we know so far, what's going on with them. For those that are interested in purchasing them, if you live in Connecticut, you may have noticed when you go to gun stores, they don't have them. I know a lot of gun stores that have just gotten rid of them. They had a narrow window. They sold them before this ATF thing came out and was published. So where I work, we had 2 days where we sold them out, and then we're waiting on some sort of information from our Special Licensing and Firearms Unit, the SLFU, which they govern gun permits and things of that nature for the state police in the state of Connecticut. Because everybody bought these firearms in good faith. They were legal. Connecticut is unique to where we have definitions for rifle. We have definitions for what they call assault weapons, or things of that nature. And the pistol grip firearm, complied with everything. So again, we bought these items in good faith. They would be legal. And then the ATF magically swoops in and says, no, they're not legal. Alright? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're talking about this right here, the stabilizing brace. Alright, this whole thing, I know it may look like an AR-15. It is not. It is a pistol grip firearm. Connecticut has very specific criteria that it has to be overall length of 26 inches. The barrel must be over 12 inches. It must have a vertical forward grip. It must have the stabilizing brace in the back, not a buttstock or anything like that. That included the SBA 3s and 4s. It includes the blade systems that are out there and various other things that are non-buttstock. So, what did the state put out? Because I know gun stores right now aren't touching these things with a 10-foot pole. People that want to consign them are bringing them in, and gun stores are turning them away, saying, nope, we don't want to deal with them. There's actually been a few gun ranges, one in particular that I know of, that came out with an arbitrary rule, and as people showed up to shoot these, they were measuring their barrels, because one of the compliance parts for the ATF was just make sure it has a barrel that's over 16 inches. So I know plenty of people that went and swapped out their uppers for a longer barrel, or they just swapped the barrel itself out to be over that 16-inch mark. But in the state of Connecticut, it says it only has to be over 12. So if it's 12.00001, it's over 12. All right, that includes your muzzle device if it's pinned and welded. Okay, so if your muzzle device is not pinged or welded, then it's usually going to be within that 14-inch, 14.5, so on and so forth. All right. So finally, SLFU in the state of Connecticut came out with their instructions on what to do. And the biggest question that was asked was right here. If I lawfully possessed a Connecticut other in its original configuration as of 1/31/2023, am I now in violation of Connecticut assault weapons ban? All right, so that's a good question, because one of the things the ATF said specifically to do was turn it into an SBR. And then they came out and said, listen, we're not going to approve any SBR applications in prohibited states. Well, Connecticut happens to be a prohibited state, which means you can't own one unless it was manufactured prior to our assault weapons ban, which means it'd be a pre-ban, which, you know, supply and demand, those are very expensive. So that being said, is ATF came out right away and said, listen, if you live in a state where you can't own these, we're not approving them. So it's like, what are we supposed to do? You know, there's all sorts of things from like, oh, just pull your brace off, which is an option. But then how do you safely fire the gun itself with no sort of stabilizing brace? Now, I know you're going to find videos up there of people shouldering them. And that's because, well, even though the stabilizing brace is designed to go around your forearm to stabilize the firearm while in use, ATF for years came out and said that the end user's usage of said device does not change its original intent. So yes, it was originally designed to go on your forearm. However, if you were to shoulder it, it didn't change the fact that it was a forearm stabilizing brace. It doesn't magically become a buttstock. So everybody just did what they did, whether they used them on their forearm or maybe brought them close to their shoulder. I wouldn't say they shouldered them, but you get what I'm stepping in. All right. So the SLFU came out, and to answer that question, are you now in violation of Connecticut's law? They said, no, you're not. While the federal rule amended the definition of a rifle in such a way as to render the so-called other as a rifle, which is, don't even get me started on that. Under federal law, the Connecticut definition of a rifle has not been amended, because Connecticut has their own definition, which is very rare for a state. Usually a state relies on what the ATF or what the federal government has for a definition. All right? Therefore, anyone who lawfully possesses an other in its original configuration is not deemed to be in possession of an assault weapon in the state of Connecticut. Anyone in possession of an other firearm should review the ATF guidance with regard to their status under federal law. However, to determine if they're in possession of a firearm that is subject to the NFA, SLFU encourages those in possession of others with a barrel that is under 16 inches to examine whether their firearm is now classified as a SBR or short-barreled rifle under federal law. Okay, so mine have like 14-inch barrels. So technically under federal law, that would be an SBR. Okay, well, just do the form and convert them. Yet the problem is I can't. So what are we supposed to do? SLFU goes in addition. SLFU is working with the ATF on a method that would allow legally possessed Connecticut others to be registered as short-barreled rifles. That's the extent of the letter they sent out to everybody. Fine, that's great. SLFU can't just magically make things out of the air. They can't just make up new rules, new laws. So now we're waiting on the Attorney General. We're waiting on the Governor to give us guidance. Again, we're halfway through this. Nobody knows what's going on. I'm not going to give you any advice because I don't want to be construed as legal advice. I'm just letting you know that everyone's just sitting on their hands, and it's starting to sound like we're all going to get shafted in the end. So, you know, I know a lot of states, the GOA, CCDL, a lot of gun groups out there are all suing everyone from their states to the federal government, to the ATF, so on and so forth, yet there's nothing that's come of it. So, for an update, stand by. Nobody has any idea right now. Do I still see people out there shooting them? All the time. And I think it's your right. It's your God-given right. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Doesn't mean it's got to, nowhere does it say, hey, it's got to be over this many inches, or it can't be this caliber, or you can't do this, or you can't do it. It's plain black and white text. The right of the individual to bear arms shall not be infringed. Doesn't matter what it is. So there's my little rant for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. There'll be another video coming out probably later in the week. This one is going to be dealing with everything from boo-boo kits to entire trauma kits, and what you guys should have stocked in your EDC bags, your range bags, at home, in your vehicles, things of that nature. Because let's face it, sometimes you get a boo-boo and you got to fix that boo-boo, and sometimes that boo-boo can be really, really bad. So we're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff, from band-aids to chest seals to all that good stuff. All right, so do me a favor, hit the like button, share the video, comment down below. I'm in the comments waiting to hear from you. Please subscribe to the channel, help it grow. It really helps with the algorithm. And let's discuss. All right, until the next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.